Martin Luther King Jr., Cesar Chavez, Nelson Mandela, leaders synonymous with civil rights movements around the world. In the 1970s, Judy Heumann, Ed Roberts, and other activists started a movement that swept the country. No longer willing to accept the status quo, they fought the United States government for the rights of people with disabilities and won. In her memoir, Judy Heumann, the only daughter of German Jewish immigrants, recounts life growing up in Brooklyn, the monumental 504 sit-in at the San Francisco Federal Building, and her illustrious disability activism career, affecting change around the world. Welcome to Behind the Book with Ability360 with Judy Heumann and her co-author, Kristen Joyner.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 5 of Behind the Book with Ability360, and thanks for joining us today. My name is Casey Kaler, and I am joined here by a few of my colleagues from Ability360. Today, we will be talking with Judy Heumann and Kristen Joyner about the role of strong leadership, especially during the 504 protests.
So with Judy's story, I was really fascinated by Judy herself, as a leader, so who'd been really told over and over again, look, you don't have power, you're excluded, you don't belong, and how does someone in that situation someone else in that situation could have felt totally powerless and could have internalized all of that as, I'm not worthy of belonging. Judy and the sort of core leaders, Kitty Cohn and the core leaders of the 504 sit-in were women. And their success, I really believe, and many people believe, I'm not the first person to say this, that their success partially was because they were leading with sort of more, what are seen as sort of like more, women attributes, in the sense that they were very committed to collaboration, they were committed to transparency, and they were committed to basically not moving forward without the collective. So Judy's success as a female leader was really interesting to me.
I think things have gotten better in many ways, but I don't think, we definitely have not yet received the recognition as disabled women in the movement as men do. And so really it was a conflict, because I thought, what are people going to think about Ed? I don't want people to think Ed was a great leader, a great spokesperson, all of that. And he had a chauvinistic side also, and that was kind of a difficult thing for me to put down in a book.
Well, and yeah, because it was about you two as individuals, but it was really about the larger issues of sexism and patriarchy. Across those lines of sexism across larger society are going to cut the same way across the disability rights movement. But also, it really bothered me, and one of my main driving motivations from the very beginning, once I realized I had this gap in my understanding of disability rights, was that it really, really bothered me that Judy wasn't seen as on the same level as Martin Luther King or Nelson Mandela or Gandhi, in the sense that when first of all, she wasn't on the radar in terms of a household name. And that really bothered me, because I think that her achievements and her leadership have achieved the same, parallel result, not the same, parallel results. But, and so it was really important I thought in the book that we really show that Judy is a civil rights leader. But I think the lessons of leadership, that is just important, I think, in the book, that we tell the story of the disability rights movement and the story of Judy, and also the story of a leader and the stories about lessons around activism and leadership. And if you look at the leadership that's going on around right now around the COVID-19 virus, the female leaders across the world that are having success in this pandemic are using the same skills and attributes that Judy was using in the section, in all of her work, but you really see it in the Section 504 sit-in, which is this, they were grounded in strategy, and people now are grounded in the science and strategy, and at the time they were grounded in policy and strategy, and then it was about collaboration and consensus and leading with empathy and making sure mobilizing the collective for a larger goal.
I mean, I believe very much that our movement needs to be made up of who we really are. In order to do that, it is our responsibility as leaders within the movement to speak up. And so, as I've said, I really, I haven't really measured it about whether it's conventional or not. To me, it's kind of like when I went to camp and there were 3 deaf girls in my bunk when I was a teenager, and they were teaching me sign language, and the speech therapist told me, don't use sign language, they need to learn how to read lips. And it was just like, okay, I listened to what she said and that was the end of it, because it didn't make any sense to me. And I think it's also that when I went to elementary school when I was 9, the classes that I were classes I were in, and the camps that I went to were also racially integrated camps. And so I was learning different things, and my neighborhood didn't necessarily reflect what I was learning in school and at camp. So I don't know, to me, it's just been the discussion around us has also been one really pushing the whole issue of representation. And it's always felt to me that it's something I believe in, and so I need to speak about it.